Cersei Lannister's betrayal. Cersei Lannister, the woman who makes bad decisions look like an art form. If you're familiar with Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire, then you know Cersei's a master manipulator and a backstabber par excellence. The betrayal she commits is layered and multifaceted, involving politics, family, and her own insatiable thirst for power. Cersei starts off as a loving mother and wife, but her betrayal takes root when she pushes her brother Jaime into a romantic and political alliance with her. Together, they execute one of the most well-known betrayals in the series. She plots the death of her husband, King Robert Baratheon, to secure the throne for herself and her children. But her greatest betrayal? That's the betrayal of her own family. In A Song of Ice and Fire, she sacrifices her children's futures to maintain her own power, ultimately leading to her downfall. Her actions lead to the War of the Five Kings, the destruction of several key families, and ultimately, the literal burning down of everything she built. In the end, Cersei's betrayal of those closest to her family, her allies, and even herself, leads her to a tragic, fiery death. Power, as it turns out, wasn't worth all the bloodshed and lies. Iago's betrayal. Now let's dive into the world of Shakespeare. Meet Iago, the ultimate schemer. In Othello, Iago's betrayal isn't just about stabbing someone in the back. It's about ruining a man's life for no reason other than pure, unadulterated jealousy. You see, Iago is Othello's ensign, and on paper, life is pretty sweet for him. But when Othello promotes Cassio over him, Iago snaps. Suddenly, Iago decides that everyone must suffer, especially Othello. Iago sets up a web of lies, feeding Othello's insecurities about his wife Desdemona's loyalty. Through manipulation, Iago twists the truth, planting seeds of doubt in Othello's mind, which slowly turn into full-blown paranoia. He gets Othello to doubt everything: his wife, his best friend Cassio, even his own sense of reality. Iago's betrayal of Othello is calculated, methodical, and devastating. The impact of Iago's betrayal is tragic. It leads to Othello's downfall, and he ends up killing Desdemona out of jealousy, only to learn that it was all a lie. Iago doesn't even get a good reason for his actions, just petty resentment, which makes it all the more chilling. His betrayal leaves a wake of destruction, and you can't help but wonder what's worse, the act of betrayal itself, or the fact that Iago does it with such cold, unfeeling precision. The Red Wedding. Game of Thrones, the show that made you question your own trust in humanity. And then there's the Red Wedding. If you didn't see this coming, I don't know what to tell you. It's one of the most brutal betrayals in fiction, set in the fictional world of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. At this point in the series, Robb Stark, the king in the north, is at the height of his power. He's winning battles, he's got the people behind him, and he's about to marry the woman he loves, but as it turns out, none of that matters. At the Red Wedding, Robb, his mother Catelyn, and their bannermen attend a feast hosted by the Freys, a noble family they've allied with. Everything's going swimmingly until, boom, a massacre. The Freys betray the Starks, slaughtering them all in cold blood. Robb, Catelyn, and even his pregnant wife are all killed in an act of treachery orchestrated by Lord Walder Frey, who was slighted by Robb's decision to break a marriage pact. The impact of this betrayal? It completely shifts the power dynamics of the North and sets off a chain of events that leads to even more bloodshed. Robb's death symbolizes the collapse of the Stark family's hopes of reclaiming the North, and it sends a message to everyone: no one is safe. The Red Wedding is a sharp reminder that in Westeros, honor is optional, loyalty is fleeting, and trust can be fatal. Gollum's betrayal. Ah, Gollum. The character who teaches us that obsession can be really unhealthy. Gollum was once a regular hobbit named Smeagol, living a quiet life near the Shire, until he found the One Ring. The ring corrupted him, twisted his mind, and slowly turned him into the creature we know as Gollum. His betrayal? Well, it's not exactly a traditional betrayal in the sense of a backstabbing, but it's certainly a painful one. Gollum betrays Frodo Baggins, his precious, in a very unique way. After guiding Frodo to Mount Doom and claiming to be his ally, Gollum's obsession with the ring takes over, and he ultimately leads Frodo into a trap. He steals the ring in a fit of greed, betraying his one-time friend in the process. But here's the kicker. Gollum's betrayal is double-edged. While he initially betrays Frodo, his failure to fully take the ring allows Frodo to ultimately destroy it in the end. The impact of Gollum's betrayal is complex. On the one hand, it's the ultimate demonstration of the ring's power to corrupt, turning someone like Gollum into a shadow of their former self. On the other hand, Gollum's role in the destruction of the ring, by his hand, even if indirectly, is a tragic, poetic twist of fate. He betrays Frodo, but in doing so, he unknowingly contributes to the very thing he's tried to protect for centuries. Severus Snape's betrayal. Now, if you haven't read the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling, let me catch you up. Severus Snape is one of the most complex characters in the series, and for most of it, he seems like your classic bad guy. He's a professor at Hogwarts, rude to students, especially Harry, and seemingly loyal to the evil wizard Voldemort. But here's the twist. Snape isn't the villain. Nope, not even close. Snape is a double agent. He pretends to be loyal to Voldemort, but all the while, he's secretly working for Dumbledore. And the kicker? He has his reasons. His love for Lily Potter, Harry's mother, is the root cause of his whole bitter but brilliant persona. You see, Snape loved Lily back in the day, but she married James Potter, the very same James Potter who bullied him at school. After Lily's death, Snape's grief turns into a strange, twisted devotion to Harry. Harry is the son of the woman he loved, and through him, Snape seeks redemption for his mistakes. The betrayal here isn't just about Snape's role as a spy, it's the emotional betrayal. Snape is torn between love and hate, loyalty and self-loathing, and it's this inner conflict that shapes him. He sacrifices everything for the greater good, hiding his true motives and intentions from everyone, including Harry. But in the end, when Harry learns the truth in Deathly Hallows, Snape is revealed to be a tragic hero, someone who did the right thing for the wrong reasons. His betrayal wasn't against Harry, it was against himself. Anakin Skywalker's betrayal. Anakin Skywalker, a guy who was supposed to bring balance to the Force, or so we thought. He's introduced in Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, as this sweet little kid with big dreams of becoming a Jedi. But of course, things go south real quick. Now, if you've somehow missed the whole Star Wars saga, maybe you've been living under a rock, here's the gist. Anakin was trained by Obi-Wan Kenobi, was kind of a big deal, and had a ton of potential. But as with most tragic heroes, he had his flaws. And I mean, a lot of flaws. In Revenge of the Sith, Anakin goes full-on villain after being seduced by the dark side. The betrayal? Oh, it's a big one. Anakin straight up joins the Sith, turning on his former mentor, Obi-Wan, and the Jedi Order as a whole. Not only does he murder younglings, yep, that's right, but he also helps in the fall of the Republic, turning it into the Empire under Emperor Palpatine. His loyalty shifts so completely that he even renounces his old name and adopts Darth Vader like it's a brand new identity. The twist? All of this was supposed to be for love, to save his wife, Padme. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well for him, her, or pretty much anyone else. The impact of Anakin's betrayal is huge, not just for the Jedi, but for the entire galaxy. His fall from grace sets the stage for the Empire's reign of terror, and by the time he realizes what he's done, too little, too late, it's basically the end of his story. Sure, he redeems himself in Return of the Jedi, but the damage is already done. Loki's betrayal. Loki, the god of mischief. You might know him from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in the comics, this guy is notorious for his betrayals. Whether it's his backstabbing of Thor or his manipulation of the Avengers, Loki is the type of character who will betray you just because he can. But let's dig into the betrayal of his brother Thor, because in this case, it's not just sibling rivalry, it's about Loki's complex relationship with power. Loki's betrayal often stems from his insecurities, his desire to prove himself to Odin, his jealousy of Thor, and his hunger for the throne of Asgard. In one of his most famous betrayals, Loki tricks Thor into thinking he's dead, taking his place on the throne of Asgard. He stirs chaos, allies himself with villains, and manipulates events to suit his own desires. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Loki's betrayal impacts not only Thor, but the entire Marvel universe. His actions lead to wars, the destruction of entire realms, and the constant need for Thor to clean up his mess. What's fascinating is that Loki's betrayal isn't just about causing harm. He does it to fill a void within himself. Every time he betrays, it's as much about his own struggles for identity as it is about his malicious intent. Ultimately, Loki is a master of betrayal, but only because he's a master of himself. Peter Pettigrew's betrayal. Now let's talk about the rat, literally. Peter Pettigrew from Harry Potter is one of the most despised characters in the series, and not just because he's a literal rat. His betrayal is one of the most gut-wrenching in all of fiction because it's a betrayal of friendship, and in a world like Harry Potter's, that's the worst kind of betrayal. Pettigrew was once close friends with James Potter, Sirius Black, and Remus Lupin during their time at Hogwarts. Together, they formed a group known as the Marauders. But instead of standing by his friends, Pettigrew betrays them all. He secretly sides with Lord Voldemort, handing over the Potters' location to him, leading to their deaths. Worse, he frames Sirius Black for the crime, sending him to Azkaban without a trial. The impact of Pettigrew's betrayal betrayal is felt throughout the entire series. Not only does it lead to the tragic deaths of Harry's parents, but it also leaves Harry with a lifetime of grief and anger. When Harry eventually learns the truth, it's a crushing moment. Pettigrew's betrayal, driven by cowardice and self-preservation, leads to the downfall of the Marauders and marks the beginning of a dark era for Harry. Pettigrew's treachery isn't just about aligning with evil, it's about betraying the very essence of loyalty and friendship.